Hello and welcome to Living Proof, the Isaac Newton Institute podcast. My name is Dan Aspel. In today's episode, I will be speaking to Clare Merritt, who is the manager of the Newton Gateway to Mathematics. The Gateway is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, so there's plenty to celebrate and plenty to talk about. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Okay, so I'm sitting here with Clare Merritt, who is the manager of the Newton Gateway. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Clare.
Hi, and it's a pleasure to be here, Dan. Thanks.
So we're going to be talking about the 10th anniversary of the Gateway, and I think to introduce that topic, can you tell us a little bit about what the Newton Gateway to Mathematics is and why it was founded?
Okay, so the Newton Gateway, it's the impact initiative of the Isaac Newton Institute, the INI. And it was set up 10 years ago to help address impact for the Isaac Newton Institute and help bring in industry and public sector contacts to the Isaac Newton Institute. It was set up as the Turing Gateway to Mathematics 10 years ago, and then was rebranded in 2019. So people may remember us as the Turing Gateway to Mathematics, but we're now the Newton Gateway to Mathematics.
It's taken a lot of training to get some staff to stop calling it TGM, hasn't it?
Yeah, it does. And we still get confused. But yeah, we're now the Newton Gateway to Mathematics.
So 10 years ago, founded as a knowledge exchange arm.
Yep.
So that was under the stewardship of John Toland.
That's right. Yeah.
Who was a previous director of the Newton
Exactly.
Institute. And the first manager was a lady called Jane Leakes.
That's right. So John Toland set it up, founded it, and then Jane Leakes was the first manager. And Jane was with the Newton Gateway until September of last year. So both John and Jane should be credited with much of the success of the Gateway. We're now when the Gateway was set up, it was just Jane, and then I joined about a year later, and we're now a small team of 5 people. So we've grown in staff and also activity over the last 10 years.
Was it John's concept, or was it a group decision?
I think it was his concept. The thought was that the Isaac Newton Institute has researchers that come here regularly for extended visits, and so it was important that there was an arm of the Institute that would help bring those academics into contact with other people from other academic disciplines, from industry, public sector. So I think there was a sort of a steer probably from the Isaac Newton Institute Management Committee and others that it would be useful to set up this impact arm of the Institute.
Considering how busy you are now, it seems almost difficult to believe that it didn't exist, that prior to the Gateway existing, that there would have been so many opportunities which weren't taken advantage of?
I think that's true. Obviously, it was before my time. I think some of the activities were taken forward, but then the Institute found it was, becoming busier, and so it felt timely to set up this separate related arm of the Institute to sort of bring those activities and focus them and dedicate more resource towards bringing that forward. Working with partners and particularly working with some of the research councils as well, who were keen that this was taken forward.
Yeah, and physically, for those that have visited the Institute before, the Gateway sits within the Gateway, which is in the Gatehouse,
Yep.
My apologies, which I guess is very fitting and may have led into the choice of name, which is just separate to INI. It's only a stone's throw away, so it is pretty much part of the building.
Exactly.
So you've been at the Gateway for most of its life.
Yep.
And how does it function today? So they've got a team of 5. That concept with which it was founded is still true, but you're very busy now, I imagine, and there's a lot of activity happening.
Yeah, so initially the focus of the Gateway when it was founded was, helping to support I&I in what are called open for business events, which are events that the Gateway now runs on behalf of the Institute related to I&I academic research programmes. And initially the Gateway focused on those, and then over the years we've developed working with lots of other initiatives, some of them based in Cambridge, others based elsewhere. We started off just really delivering events. Now we deliver events, scoping meetings, virtual study groups, so training for industry, and also some other activities related to training of PhD students and working with businesses on particular projects. So the remit remains the same, but how we deliver our work has evolved over that period of time. We are very busy. I don't I should know, but I don't know how many sort of people we engage with in year one. But over the last 10 years, we've had over 180 events and worked with over 11,000 participants who've attended events developed and delivered by the Gateway. So that's pretty exciting statistics.
That's incredible, yeah. And I think one major difference is that when the Newton Institute puts on events, so often the organisers will be putting out connections and finding people who might want to apply to their workshops, for example. We do advertise them as well, but we make the subjects available and rely on people applying to come to attend them, and it's always very well attended. With the Gateway, you're making these events happen each time, aren't you? So you're approaching a lot of people, which... Does that explain quite a lot of the busyness?
Yeah, so when we work, I mean, we have a sort of different ways of working, but when we're working with I&I organisers for an event, then we will sort of co-develop it with them. When we're working on a specific event with another partner, they will come up with the theme or the topic of the event, because obviously they want to deliver it, but we will then help them develop the specifics of the event and approach contacts that we have from industry or the public sector or other academic disciplines and bring it all together. So we work in that way. We sort of work slightly different to how an I&I programme or workshop takes place. One of the other differences is obviously when people come to the I&I, they come for an extended period of time, a month, or 3 months or 6 months. The Gateway tends to run events that are a day, 2 or 3 days, or maybe a workshop or study group that's 5 days, but we have a much shorter sort of period of time, so we can be a little bit more agile. So the I&I is planning events for 2 or 3 years hence. The Gateway, we're looking at events, developing events for later this year, so we're able to have a quicker turnaround because of the shorter time, the shorter length of our delivery, and also we're working with a number of different partners for a period of different events.
It's worth mentioning as well that the workshops, the week-long workshops, excuse me, which occur at the Isaac Newton Institute, will have titles and names which are very specific to their field of mathematics. So the title is not intended to grab the attention of a general audience, but that isn't true of the Gateway. So you're taking perhaps that field or that subject matter and turning it into something which is of much broader appeal to a much greater range of people within the public sector and industry.
Exactly. And so within those workshops, we will help develop a 1 day or a half day event that, as you say, is aimed at a much wider audience. And we work hard with those organisers to develop that and make it more, it's about outreach and making the connections. Obviously, when people are here at the I&I, we want to introduce them to as wide a group of other partners as possible, and that's part of our remit and helps. We help facilitate that between I&I and the Gateway and people in the outside world.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was in recent history there was a hugely successful event here. Was it in February, I think, or at the end of January? Called Communicating Mathematics to the Public. And we've had a lot of consequent interviews and content across our website as a consequence of that, because it was very, very exciting. But I guess my question based on that is, that's one example of a very appealing workshop which you held, which was hugely popular, sold out. Can you name any other sort of recent topics that you've covered or recent sectors that you've branched into with your workshops, with your day-long events?
We did, during the pandemic, we worked, everything was virtual, as expected, and we worked closely with a number of different sectors on some other projects. One of those which was set up was VChems, which was the Virtual Forum for Knowledge Exchange in the Mathematical Sciences, which I know you're aware of. And that was set up in partnership with Innovate UK KTN, the ICMS, I&I and the Gateway, as well as a number of leading academics across the UK. And that was set up in response to the pandemic, and we helped facilitate mostly virtual study groups where participants were working to help model solutions to problems caused by the pandemic. So that was a new thing that came about, and we're looking forward to working further with VChems going forward, and probably not on pandemic related activities, but still working with those partners, because it's a well established we've got a well established relationship. Other things that we've been involved in are sort of modelling camps where we've brought together PhD students. We're working with colleagues from Oxford to bring together opportunities for PhD students to model challenges brought from industry. So there's a number of different activities that we've been taking forward, and some of those have come about. Some of think they tend to evolve over time, working with different partners.
10 years is a great opportunity to look back at what's been achieved in that period and to celebrate any organisation. You've been with the Gateway for most of its life, and as you say, it went from being one person to now being a team of 5. How does it feel to you, having been involved with it for so long? Do you feel proud of these last few years, and do you think that 10 years is a great milestone?
I do. I do feel proud. As you say, I've been with the Gateway for much of that time and helped, with others in the team, help develop it and evolve the activities that we've been involved in. There are other initiatives that are being developed within the mathematical sciences community, so we're looking forward to working with them as well. And so now is almost time to sort of take stock of how the Gateway works and who we work with. As I mentioned, Jane Leakes was the original manager. I became the manager towards the end of last year. So in a way, it's a good opportunity for me to be able to reflect back, but look forward, working with, identify different partners to work with, and where our focus should be. We're obviously working very closely still with I&I, and then there are other opportunities that we're looking forward to developing. We hope that there will be some form of celebration event later in the year. We haven't finalised the arrangements for that, but that will be something we'll bring speakers together to sort of celebrate some of the achievements of the Gateway. So that's something else to be excited about.
Yeah, and it seems like in this period there have been some really exciting outcomes to celebrate. Just the connection of people who otherwise wouldn't be connected. So that's something to be proud of as well, I imagine.
And I think one of the things that we are proud of was bringing together people during the pandemic and being able to bring people together online when they didn't have the opportunity to meet in person, and that helped increase opportunities for people that wouldn't necessarily always be able to physically come to the Isaac Newton Institute for quite a short period of time. People that had caring responsibilities. We also engaged with more sort of PhD students who could engage at relatively short notice, as well as those from overseas who could dial in at times that weren't too unsociable for them. So those were good things, and we're proud of that. VChems was awarded a Praxis Oral Team of the Year in 2021. It was a team effort, obviously, between the partners, but that's something that the Gateway is proud to have been involved in. And there are other opportunities coming up that we hope will be equally successful.
That's wonderful. So much to be proud of there. And just before we wrap up, anyone that's listening to this that thinks, I'd like to be involved in an event, I'd like to propose an event, I'd like to find out what the Gateway is doing in this 10th year of its operation, what would you say to them? Where can they go and how can they find out what you're up to?
Well, they can look on our website. That gives information, lists all of our activities that are coming up. We've got a number of different thematic programmes that we work on, so they can look at those. And then they can just make contact with us. They can either come to us via the Isaac Newton Institute, or they can email us at gateway@newton.ac.uk, or feel free to, pop in and meet some of the team.
Fantastic. And again, they're based. You are based on the Faculty of Maths campus here in Cambridge. So if you find yourself in the area, come in and say hello. Thanks so much, Claire. I think that's given a great overview of the 10th anniversary, and obviously keep an eye on social media feeds for both I&I and the Gateway to find out what's happening this year.
Thanks very much, Dan.
Cheers.